We gotta go back.
SK14.
I'm not a leftist, I'm a liberal, and we should just talk to each other. Okay, but what are we gonna talk about? Because you don't want to talk to people like me. You don't want to talk to anybody who's got anything to say. You want to talk to Jewy Jewstein, who says,
I've got a lot of questions about Israel in the last week.
Yeah.
I apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I will not apologize.
We know you won't, bitch.
That my defense of
Epic,
Israel against
epic.
shut up, you bitch. This guy's the biggest scum-sucking, anti-American loser, traitor.
Who likes Cardi B? 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 Who likes Cardi B?
He's mad. He's mad. Look at that shriveled up little face.
Who likes Cardi B? Who likes
Eat
Cardi
a
B?
gamer moment.
SK14.
the last week.
Yeah.
I apologize for my defense of our greatest ally in the Middle East.
Yeah.
I will not apologize.
We know you won't, bitch.
That. I'm always just very puzzled at times when I consider
I'm so puzzled. I'm so puzzled all the time.
The only place where all three monotheists,
Somebody's got to go Joker mode.
Who likes Cardi B? 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 Who likes Cardi B?
All right, welcome back to the Death by Tyranny podcast for the second time tonight. I am going to be working a lot of overtime because there's a watch that I really want. It has a lot of significant value to me. I've done a lot of research on the watch that I'm looking to get. Now, mind you, it's not going to be a Rolex. The Rolex gray market right now, the wait list is just tremendously ridiculous, out of reach for me myself being a middle class citizen. I would, however, love to get a Tudor, and I know there are some people that can get those. In fact, Teddy Balbazar is a watch dealer not that far away from me in Cleveland, Ohio, that actually has a Tudor Black Bay 58 that I want for $3,700. But even being $3,700 is a little bit out of my reach. So, because I've always been into watches, okay? I've always worn a wristwatch. I still have my Boulder Rally 2 that I wear just because, it's not a throwaway watch. It's a couple $100 watch. It keeps good time. It has a pretty good chronograph. And I wear that to work because when I buy a watch, I like to use a watch. I don't want a safe queen. So I've been doing a lot of research on a watch, and I think I've decided on grabbing the Seiko SPB 213. It is the 140th anniversary white dial, blue bezel, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I think that it is a strap monster. It can go with many different colors, many different outfits, and it is about the $1,200 range. And I know that's pricey for a lot of people, but for a good automatic timepiece that has a lot of good qualities when it comes to a diver watch, I think that it is a very, very good quality and value for money. So I think that's what I'm going to try to get. Right now, it's a little bit out of reach financially, but I'm going through some things in my life where I feel like if I don't buy it now, I probably won't ever buy it. And that leads into the topic that I want to talk about today. I know I released a video today on YouTube. But this one, however, I will be uploading to Gab. Now, being a very, very high respecting, and I give, a lot of credit to the America First movement. I try to do the best that I can when it comes to being a very respectable person. Obviously, I made a lot of bad decisions in my life, so I can't say that I'm perfect. Obviously with the tattoos. I, however, don't do a whole lot of drinking, but tonight I have decided to do so. There's just some things going on with my life. Sometimes you got to kind of let go a little bit so that you can retain your sanity. And I'd say probably 15 hours ago, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to work the overtime to be able to obtain this watch because I really want it. It's at a point in my life that I feel that it's significant. And I feel like when you make a very large purchase when it comes to watches, that watch should mean something to you. You shouldn't just go buy a $10,000 Rolex because you can. It should hold a place in your life. So every time that you look at that watch, you remember that time in your life. And I'm at a point in life where I'm kind of giving up. And not giving up in the sense of podcasting. I think that there will always be a passion for me to come on here and try to speak the truth. Try to get people to understand that there is a better way of life. And there are a lot of people out there with a lot of power and a lot of high positions that are trying to blindside us and kind of push us in the other direction. And I just want to be the person that says we can still do this. We can still be middle class. We can still have nice things. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I could get on here every day on the Death by Tyranny podcast and tell you about how fucked up the ATF is doing. And we have probably on the longer side of 3 years of shenanigans of the Biden administration. But I believe that there is an opportunity for us to take a look at the smaller things in life and try to enjoy them. So I am going to do everything that I can. Obviously, I can't afford the gray market prices when it comes to Tudor as much as I would love to. I would love a Howard's green bezel Tudor Black Bay. It's just kind of out of my reach. I would love a Northfields sheepfoot red jig bone slip point or slip joint. I can't afford that. But what I can afford is something like a Seiko SBB 213 limited edition 100th and 40th anniversary 62 mass re-release. And this would be one of those watches that I'm not just buying because it's absolutely gorgeous, but because it holds a significant part in my life. And most people like to buy watches when they reach a milestone, when they reach, that first business opportunity, or, they buy that car they always wanted, or their kids go to college. And I think we also need to celebrate some of those times where we hit rock bottom. And I think civilization, as well as myself, we're hitting that rock bottom. Like I said when I started this podcast over on Facebook, I'm not normally a drinker of alcohol of any sorts. It really doesn't do anything for me. But I've had an unusually bad day I saved up quite a bit to buy a pair of boots that I've wanted for a long time. They came in, and the QC of the boots was just absolutely terrible, and I could have just left them in the box and tried to get a return. I will try to see if they will compensate me in some way, but I am gonna wear the boots and try to enjoy them. And I think I'm going to try to do the same thing when it comes to this watch. And with that said, I'm curious with the 2-3 people that actually listen to this podcast if they would be interested in something like that. I know there's reviews on the Seiko SPB 123. I know there's reviews on a lot of other Seiko mid-tier watches. But there's not a lot of reviews on some of these things that are obtainable to the middle class. And I think that there's a real lack in some of the content that we can be producing. You know, you can tell me that the watch looks gorgeous. You can tell me the specs of the watch. But I want to know, after a year, 6 months, changing straps, what straps, how that changed your life. Do you still enjoy wearing that watch? Because some of us are never going to obtain that Rolex, Datejust with the blue face, white gold fluted bezel, as much as I would like to. This Seiko SPB 213 might be the closest thing that I'm going to get. And instead of trying to promote and push this Rolex brand, which is actually almost unattainable at this point unless you're willing to pay double, if not triple, and even then you still have to know somebody at an AD. But this watch is actually obtainable. Is it a watch that us as middle class people can buy, enjoy, and still look as good as some of the Rolex owners? And I think the Seiko SPB 123 is one of those things. And before you really get after me on the comments and say, hey, this is the Death by Tyranny podcast, we should be talking about what the ATF is doing, what the politicians are doing to make our lives miserable. I want you to understand that I have always had the mindset that, yes, this is important to keep an eye on the ATF. This is important to understand what Big Daddy government is trying to do to hold the middle class down. But I also think it is just important to see what the middle class can do to keep that hope alive. Now, my wife says that $1,200 is a lot for a watch. And in reality, it is not. The watch that I want is a Tudor Black Bay Harrods edition, green bezel, and that's about $5,000 on the lower end, and that is just unobtainable for me right now. But the Seiko SPB 213 is a watch that has mesmerized me for a long time. I've done a lot of research. It is a strap monster. It looks great on all kinds of watches, and I think that it is a watch that is something that I can obtain to show you that on the right strap, in the right condition, with the right outfit, that we can stand par to par with some of these people that are wearing some of these high-end luxury watches. And I think that's important, because without that, the lower class, the middle class, we lose a lot of hope of obtaining that really high-end lifestyle. And the thing about the high-end lifestyle is those people have already obtained it. They have already had daddy give it to them. They have already got lucky. Well, what about us that get kicked in the dick every single fucking day by Big Daddy government, by social media, influencers? What can we do to come out here and say, look, we are just as good, we work just as hard, and we are going to make it not only on your level, but we are going to far, far surpass you. And so, not only with the keeping an eye on the ATF, not only on keeping the eye on some of the worst people when it comes to the government, I would like to do a segment where we focus on how to take some of these middle class people that really would like to expire, or not expire, but aspire to be some of the greatest influencers and trendsetters, just like some of these fucking douchebags in Hollywood. And I think that the Seiko 213 is one of those watches. So I'm going to do my best in the next week or two to obtain this watch, to obtain a beautiful strap for it, and show you what I'm talking about. So, with that said, that's all I got for tonight. I don't drink, and I'm pretty fucking hammered. So, I think this is a good idea. I think at some point, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to keep this on the Death by Tyranny podcast, because it is fighting against the elite, fighting against the government, or if we need to start a different channel called Spending More Time, so we can take a look at some of the lower end, high quality items that go bar for bar with some of these heavy hitters in the luxury atmosphere, or if we need to just come up with another episode. And I do have a couple of people in mind that I would like to do that with. So hopefully we can get that going. But with that said, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay prepared. God bless. America first. Peace, y'all.